Hey guys, OKC Cake Lady, thank you so much for joining me on part two of my five-part series of, well, how I became OKC Cake Lady. So, do you ever wonder, how did I get here? How did I get to this point? So, let me tell you guys a little bit about me because this will all make sense. So, I played soccer for over, I think, 17 years, okay? Eventually, I quit soccer my junior year, not to any reason that I'm proud of. It just didn't work out. I quit. Okay. So at this time, I was already working at a grocery store part time. If you remember being 16, 15 when you started working, generally it was part time because you had to get off work by 10. I think that's what time you had to, I think they cut it off at 10. So, anyways, I was working in the grocery store and I was so happy. I was a courtesy clerk. I'm making money. Back then you think you're really making money, but I was making money. I was super, super happy. Eventually, I had a really, really cool manager, and she's like, you know what? I want to move you to a cashier. I'm like, okay, no problem. Now, I had social anxiety extremely bad. And when I say bad, I mean bad. Okay. It was so hard for me to like be in front of people. I didn't make eye contact with people. I had a lot of issues with like social anxiety. And I'm a person, I'm always honest about that because I hope it can help somebody else. Just keep working and just try to improve every day with your social anxiety. Anyway, so I moved up to a cashier, super happy. Eventually, my manager was like, you know what? I want to move you up to a supervisor. This manager, I'm going to say her name. Her name was Lois, and I just hope that she can see this video. Huge, huge part of how I got to where I'm at. So eventually, I became a service supervisor on the front end, which was a big, big step for me because this was all over, I think, a year and a half. So I moved up kind of quick. So now I'm in charge of cashiers and things like that. And I'm learning the ropes of grocery store life and how that works. So eventually, years go on. I stayed a supervisor. Eventually, I was still part time. Eventually, they offered hours in the bakery, more hours. Okay, now let me go back just a little bit. So, soccer was a huge part of my life, and there was something else that was a big part of my life, and that was my truck. Huge car person. Cars were pretty much everything to me. I loved lowriders. Lowriders, as in the vehicles that have hydraulics and things like that. So I had a truck passed down to me from my stepdad, and it was a 1986 GMC Sierra S15. I have to say all that, okay? This truck, it was a tan truck. My brother had wrecked it, I think, twice. The body on the truck was still good. He had put a new engine in it, whatever. If you've ever had a vehicle passed down to you at 16, you really don't care what it is. You're just happy that you have something to drive. Anyway, when I knew I was getting this truck, I was like, how can I fix it up? What can I do to the truck? So, moving forward, when they offered me more hours in the bakery, because they're like, hey, there's a bakery position. We have more hours. You be full time. Do you want to take it? I was like, gosh, I like the front end. I like working up there and with my customers and stuff. I'm like, I don't know anything about cakes, like nothing. I'm like, cakes, I eat them. I get them for my birthday. You put candles in them. That's it. But there was one thing about the bakery that I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. They had an airbrush machine. If you don't know what an airbrush machine is, it's this little machine that has a compressor, and basically you press it, you put food coloring in it, and the food coloring comes out on the cake. Okay. Now they have these, you can put edible stuff in them. You can also airbrush cars. Yeah. You guys getting it? So I was like, oh, I always wanted to airbrush cars. So I was like, if I learn how to airbrush back there in the bakery, then I can still airbrush cars for a living. So I started thinking, this might be a good idea. I can make money to fix my truck up, and I can airbrush cars eventually because I'm going to learn the ropes of how to use an airbrush gun. So anyway, I get back there. I play with the airbrush machine a little bit because I knew everybody back there, right? I play with the airbrush gun for a little bit. I'm like, it's really hard to use this thing, but whatever. The two ladies that were back there in the bakery, they actually quit whenever they were already going to quit. Once I got back there, I guess they haven't filled their 2 weeks. Maybe they didn't make it. I don't know. Really sweet ladies. I was not taught anything as far as cakes. So I was kind of just left in the dark. I'm like, not only am I new and I don't know anything about cakes, I'm really going to have to try to figure this out on my own. So when I tell you guys there was a lot of trial and error back there in that bakery, there was a lot. Okay. So I'm back there in the bakery. I'm making cakes, I'm decorating cakes. Um, and it was just all a blur. I feel like time just jumped. I don't know how long the period was from the time I got back there into the time I started feeling like, oh yeah, I got this. Like I have this down. But I feel like it was about 6 months. Um, I know I was making a lot of the backup cakes, which were the cakes you guys see in the cake case, like those cookies and cream cakes, the Snickers cakes, the pre-decorated cakes. Okay, I was making a lot of those. So you get to kind of play on those cakes, and I say play because they're not for a client. Did not order those cakes; they're pre-made. So you either like the cake, buy it, we write on it, or you don't, right? Or you order your own cake and get it the way you want. So I was making those cakes, trying to learn how to do borders. I'm trying to learn how to ice a cake and make it look good. In my mind, these cakes looked great. Okay. These cakes were masterpieces in my mind. Now, I don't have pictures of those cakes, and there's probably a reason for that, but we're going to move on. Let's fast forward. I knew I was enjoying it. I was loving what I was doing back there in the bakery. All smiles. I am like, this is amazing. Like, this is work. I think I was 17, about to turn 18, because I had graduated. So I'm back there just making cakes, just living my life. Um, and I'm starting to really get the hang of it now. I loved it so much. They couldn't keep me out of the bakery. Okay. I am taking orders and now I'm making the actual clients' cakes that are ordering. And I loved it. Now, I've always loved art. So, soccer, art, and cars, those have always been huge passions of mine, very, very big in my life, and music. So, because I had an art background, a lot of the decorating stuff came kind of easy to me. Drawing something on a cake, looking at a picture and duplicating it, not a problem because I've always loved art, always doodling and all that kind of stuff. So here I am in the bakery, taking orders, making cakes, loving every bit of it. At that age, having a job that you love, it is a weird thing because you're like, I've always heard my parents complain about work. Not only my parents, but people in general, right? Oh, work, blah, blah. I don't like work. I'm like, how is this possible? I like what I do. Like, I'm loving this. Is this real life? Y'all, I ended up working back there for it was almost 10 years. They had switched companies in the middle of me being back there. We went from, I'm not going to name these companies, one company to another company, and there was of course changes, but I was still loving it. So as I was back there, you guys, I started taking orders for clients, like I said, and some of these were wedding cakes. So I want to show you guys some of the cakes that I eventually made. And these were the cakes that I started taking pictures of. And I felt like I was pretty proud of my work, right? Because I took the pictures. So this cake right here, you guys, that's one of them. I'm just going to flip through these kind of quick, but these are some of the first cakes that I really, really made that I felt proud of. Now, these are sheet cakes. Remember that these are grocery store cakes. So we can't get too crazy and we don't have that much time to actually work on these cakes. But again, I was super proud of my work. Um, I also made wedding cakes. So here are some of my wedding cakes that I made. Now, I want to tell a story about a lot of these wedding cakes that I made. When making wedding cakes, you should have supports in your wedding cakes. I did not. Now, remember what I said. I did not have anybody teaching me stuff back there in the bakery. I did this was it was all trial and error. Like I'm testing things out and just like making things as I saw fit. So I did not have supports in my cakes. Now, people were picking up these wedding cakes and traveling with them, and we never had any issues. How? To this day, it's one of those things I laugh about only because we didn't have any complaints where people came back and they were like, my cake fell apart. Everybody's cakes made it to the destination. I feel like it was all for a reason. Everybody's cakes made it to their destination and people were happy. When I was working back there, beautiful things happened. I met some really, really amazing people. My clients at the time at the grocery store, they would request me to make their cakes. When this started happening, I felt like it was the neatest thing. You have people coming up and they're just like, I want Nicole to make my cake. And I was that cake decorator at the grocery store. And this went on for years. Eventually, I parted ways with that company and I ended up working somewhere that did not involve cakes. And I hope you guys tune in for part three because this next part I'm going to share with you is something that I have not shared with the public. And there are only a few people who actually know about this. And it's something that I need to share with you guys. So that's what I'm going to do.